It is 5 o'clock somewhere, Real Estate Investor Podcast. My name is Brett Bernard, Marissa Miller, and Jack Wad from the other side of the pond. Richard is here also. Thank God y'all showed up because I thought I was going to have to talk to Richard by myself. I was going to cancel.
But you usually call me at midnight for that, don't you?
So anyway, just hang around. We're going to talk about a big mistake a lot of investors make, grading a neighborhood. We'll be right back.
We are sponsored by Title Assurance and Escrow, a title company here in Cordova that does all of our closings, title work, escrows, and we only use Title Assurance and Escrow. That relationship is very important because we can get things done for our investors quickly and easily. So to speak with Title Assurance and Escrow, call 901-737-3332. Ask for Chris or April.
All right, welcome back. So I'm going to get into grading neighborhoods. We touched on it a previous episode, real briefly. And no, it's the type of neighborhood, Richard, so you can take your white British twisted mind and settle down. It's not because of the color of the people that live there, right?
The what?
It's not because of the color of the people that live there. That's not how I grade neighborhoods.
I've never said anything like that.
You just asked me the last episode why I grade that that neighborhood a C.
Yes, and that's for the C word. That doesn't refer to a color.
Oh, that's what you meant. I misunderstood. Okay, gotcha.
Wow, you're so fast.
So, Marissa, you know Memphis pretty well, and we've got Whitehaven. Now, these are all part of Memphis, but we call them by their previous name that they were way back in the day, neighborhood. Whitehaven, which is where Graceland's at. Then we've got Frayser. Then we've got South Memphis, Raleigh, Berkeley, East Memphis, Midtown, Cordova,
Binghamton.
All those markets are heavy rental markets. There are a lot of renters in all these markets, but they're completely different in the type of market it is. Now, you can take a house from Frayser worth $90,000 a day, go plop it down in a so-so neighborhood in Whitehaven, it's going to be worth $120,000, period. A lot of people want to live in Whitehaven. So I was asked, 5 years ago, if I could grade a neighborhood for somebody. I said, sure, but I wasn't quite sure what he was asking me. Like, I didn't know, are you asking me to go down there and tell you if it's a Hispanic or if it's a black people, if it's a lot of white? I mean, that's what I thought he was asking me.
No Brits living there. That's what he was hoping.
I don't know what is worse than an F, but if Brits were living in there, yeah, I'd be below an F, for sure. So I went out and I went to this street, and it was a bad street. I mean, a lot of homes were boarded up. Wasn't anything in good condition, maybe a few average condition homes on this street. So my mind was like, that's an F, period. Glenn was with me. As we circled the block and came back around, I missed 2 construction dumpsters in 2 of the homes. So Glenn immediately goes, well, then we're in a D+, and this is going to be about a C-, and then a C, and then a C+ eventually. Frayser View is the name of the street. And you drive down Frayser View now, and it has gone from a D- to I would classify it as a B- now. Every single home's got a new roof, has been remodeled, and Terry built 2 brand new homes at the very end of the block in the Cove. So it's come up tremendously. So grading a neighborhood has nothing to do with the ethnicity of the tenants, the type of tenants, what country they're from, what color their skin is, what religion they are. It has nothing to do with it. But as an investor, you need to understand that it's important that you learn how to do this, because a lot of investors will call the first agent that answers the phone and say, I want to buy a rental property. That agent's going to waddle on down to, some area of town, find the biggest piece of crap that's still standing up that they can find, run some bogus numbers on it that don't make sense to anybody, and then say, look, this is a great buy, $100,000, rents for $1,000 a month, and you buy it, and then 6 months later you're ripping your hair out because that agent didn't know what she was doing, or he didn't know what he was doing. And that happens. We get a lot of listings from sellers that are dumping properties that they got involved with an unqualified agent. Whitehaven has everything from A to F. Frayser has everything from probably B to F. Raleigh is probably B to F. Cordova hovers between probably a D+ and a B-. Now let's talk about what that means. So as an investor, you can understand how to evaluate your property. You can have a brand new home sitting in an entire neighborhood of abandoned homes, and that is a horrible investment.
Right.
If you paid $100,000 for it, it's renting for $2,000 a month. That's still a horrible investment. You've got to put yourself into what we call the sweet spot, which is a C neighborhood. That's a sweet spot. That's where you get the biggest bang for your buck. It's where you can still buy a house for $100,000 and rent for $1,000 a month. Or it's $140,000, but you're renting $1,500 a month rent. So C and C plus neighborhoods is where most investors spend their time. So let's talk about Whitehaven. You know anything about Whitehaven?
Not much. Not for Whitehaven. Probably more
South Whitehaven
Raleigh
is a
area.
B plus neighborhood, B plus
Okay.
market. Homes are in the 200,000-300,000 range. A lot of professionals live there. All the homes are in good shape, taken care of. Yards are manicured. No abandoned homes. As you move north, it drops to a B minus, then goes to probably a C plus, then a C. And there's some areas in there that hit the C minus and the D. So as you get on these streets, let's take 20 homes, for example. And you drive down this street, and 10 of them are boarded up and abandoned. No work going on. Grass is 2 feet high. And the other 10, let's say 3 more of them are fully remodeled, and the rest of them are just in average condition. Looks like somebody's lived there for 30 years and hadn't really done a lot to a property, but they've, taken care of it. It's not falling down. That is a C neighborhood. If everybody would say, well, it's got 2 remodeled homes, it should be better than a C. No. Now, if that trend that we see on that street continues, then that grade will go up. So when you buy a home, you want to look for something that has got activity. I can literally go down a street in any of these markets, drive down a street, find a street with 2 remodels, a couple of older homes with new roofs on them, yards are manicured, and then turn and literally go one corner away, and there's 12 abandoned homes with 10 feet of grass in front, vacant lots everywhere, literally just right behind this nice C plus street. So when you buy a home, you can't have an agent that's going to do this is 38109, or this is 38117. Well, that's great, because just because it's got the same zip code doesn't mean it's a great purchase.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a home on a bad street. I've got a poor couple right now I'm dealing with who called the first agent that answered. Number one, sold them 2 properties in a D minus neighborhood. They overpaid for them. One of them's vacant now, has been broken into. The other one's rented, way under market. And they're both 2-bedroom, 1 bath. That is nothing but a notebook full of negatives for me. And it's in 38106, and a really shaky part of 38106. So in that instance, she asked me to tell her what I thought about the neighborhood. So I drove out there, and I put it at a D. And she was shocked, because she was told by the agent that sold it to her agent, that this was an up-and-coming B neighborhood. This is on its way to where, this is going to be one of the nicest places in the whole 38106 area. And that was an absolute lie.
Ooh, a B is far off from a D.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is. This neighborhood has never moved since she bought the property.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have people that call you up and say, well, I looked at it on Google Street Level?
True. And I don't know why anybody buy anything in Memphis. You look at Google Street Level.
Well,
Holy crap.
they have to be sure that they're looking at the most recent pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go
That's
back
true.
several years on
Something to gauge.
Street View. So
Some of our new constructions, if you look them up on Zillow, there's still the old abandoned home sitting there.
right.
They don't have a picture of the brand new home because it was torn down and a new house is built. But yeah, a lot of people do that. You need to look at you need to try to find, I think somewhere in there you can see what date the picture was taken.
That's right. I mean, you can go back maybe 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you can certainly see over a period of time how the street has changed.
Yeah.
But you can't see how it looks right now.
No. Now, the only way you're going to do that is just get you a good agent that's going to go out there and take pictures. Every time I go look at a property for somebody, I take pictures of the home, inside and out, hot water heater, air conditioner, furnace, open up all the sinks and look underneath them, take pictures, and send all those to them. And then I go outside and take pictures of the neighborhood. I've been asked many times, why are you taking pictures of my house? I just say, I'm an appraiser. I'm going to appraise this home. I'm just get some examples. And I send them pictures of the street. And in that text, I will tell them this is a C plus neighborhood. And I'm showing them pictures and evidence of why it's a C plus. Because if they go on Google Earth and look, or go on even on Zillow and look at their street view, that street looks nothing like the pictures I just sent to them. It's improved quite a bit since those pictures were taken. But as an investor, you've got to look at those. You have to. Memphis is such a street by street type city.
Mm-hmm.
Our rental markets are literally block by block. You can go from an F to a B literally in a block,
In
maybe 2 blocks.
2-3 minutes. Yep.
You take East Memphis as an example. 4 blocks from Berkeley, which is a C neighborhood, C plus. You've got Belmead, which is $1 million, $2 million mansions. You go on the other side, and you've got the same thing.
Even by not far from U of M, You got
U of M is probably the most cut up I've ever seen.
You have one side of the
Chickasaw
railroad
Gardens.
tracks that's completely.
Well, it's literally the other side of the tracks.
Yeah, you have the other one side of the tracks that's, F minus, and then you have literally on the other side where you can see these homes from the opposite side of the tracks, and you're having B neighborhoods,
Very wealthy people live there on the golf
It's crazy
course.
how it's so
And then you jump across
different.
on the other side of Highland, and it's all student housing. So
Yep.
while those homes are not in super good condition, they're not in dilapidated condition, but that same home on the other side of Highland is worth 3 times as much because it's
Yeah.
a student.
It's crazy.
Students
just
are renting
how,
there, and parents are paying the rent, so they're getting more money for them.
Yeah, it's crazy how different. Even like outside of the student housing, like just the houses themselves, where they're owners or renters or whatever, they're so different on opposite sides of the track. Like the deal that I just had with Robin,
Yep.
that home was for $140, but on the same street across the street from him, those are all new.
300 and
They're
400.
probably in the 300. Yes, they're in the 300, 400,000s, and then 2 minutes around the corner.
5
Not even
years
2
ago,
minutes,
though,
maybe 1 minute around the corner.
5 years ago, that street was about a C, barely.
Yeah.
So
Just for our listeners, when you say the other side of the tracks, that is literal.
Literally the
It
other
is
side of the tracks,
railroad
yeah.
track.
Yes,
so
literal.
you've got by the university, you've got railroad tracks that run through, and on one side, Orange Mound is what they call it. I mean, it was a really bad place. And you cross over the tracks and go 3 blocks, and you've got $2 million homes on a golf course. You could walk out of the street, out of a house, and throw a rock across the railroad tracks and hit one of the mansions if you wanted to.
Did you
And
try?
Not yet.
Okay.
When I drink too much, I might, though. So it's important for our listeners and investors and people thinking about investing to understand how Memphis is set up. And just know, simply because you get on Google View and you see a beautiful mansion, that's great. But if you could street drive around 2 blocks behind it, it goes from A to F like that.
Very quick.
Let's create a mental picture of driving through a C neighborhood.
Okay.
What am I likely to see? Am I going to see cars up on blocks? Am I going to see rundown cars?
I mean, there's cars on blocks everywhere.
You might see a few, but it shouldn't be oversaturated with
I'll
cars
tell you what-
that are broken down, a bunch of flat
Right.
tires, broken windows.
What I would classify as a C neighborhood is if you drive down, you'll see a beautiful brick home, fresh paint, new roof, completely over the top manicured yard. Well, that tells you there's someone that's been living there for 40 years. Probably retired, bought that house when they had their job at FedEx. They retired and they still live there. And then next to it, you'll see a couple of properties that are in okay shape. Maybe one needs a roof. Some of them have, peel and paint. Grass is cut, but there's not, all the fancy rose bushes and manicured sidewalks and all that. And then as you go down the street, you'll see another beautifully kept house. Not updated. It looks like they just bought it in 1979 and then manicured it, and it just looks identical. You go in it, same thing. But the house is in perfect condition, even though it hasn't been updated in 40 years. To me, that's a C plus neighborhood where every home is livable. You don't have 4 or 5 vacant lots in the middle of the street from, people, abandoned homes that were torn down or taken back by the city. Cars being on the street, that's everywhere. But, you don't see cars up on blocks. You don't see cars on blocks in the street. Obviously, the lady that retired, or gentleman that retired, has been living there for 40 or 50 years, still wants to live there. That's a C plus. And I would say the majority of our rental markets in Memphis are that. But a lot of investors make mistakes and say, I don't want to go to Frayser. I don't want to go to Whitehaven. They've looked at properties or have been or had someone tell them, you don't want to go into Frayser. I mean, you go into Frayser, you go into East Memphis, you go into Whitehaven, it literally changes from A to F. Where either direction you go, you're going to run into it. So you can't really necessarily take a zip code or a market and just decide that's not for me. I mean, it's almost like not investing in Chick-fil-A because you're a liberal and the guy that owns it's a Christian conservative. You're investing to make money. You're not
Right.
investing because of politics.
Right.
So look at it that way. Look at a particular street, and when you decide to invest, look at it from an investment perspective. And you start off simply by grading the neighborhood. And if it's below a C, stay out of it, because I don't care how much you're going to pay for it, and I don't care how much rent Zillow tells you you're going to get for it, you're going to lose money on that deal. Because in neighborhoods that are D's and F's, where no one's invested money yet, no one's gone in and bought and rehab, there's a reason behind that. there's no value there, or most of the homes are abandoned. So even if you rehab the home and put it up for rent, and there's 15 homes and 12 of them are abandoned, who's going to rent that house from you? Just because you own the property, you've rehabbed it, and you can get this much rent, doesn't mean someone's going to want to live there. And our new construction, we deal with that all the time. And that is, sometimes some of these guys were just, vacant lot in the middle of the worst neighborhood in Memphis. Oh, bam, throw up a new house. And then it sits there for 6 months and nobody wants to buy it. Well, that's why. Would you want to live there? No. Neither do they. We've had some MHA tenants tell us that they didn't like the house in the neighborhood. And that's a fair assessment. Had the builders gone in and really evaluated the neighborhood prior to just jumping out and buying up 100 lots in it, I would advise them to not do that. Or buy them and sit on them. Just buy them and sit, and let's wait a couple of years. Because eventually someone's going to go into that neighborhood that's a D neighborhood, and someone's going to buy that first house and rehab it. And that's going to get the attention of another investor who's going to jump in there and maybe buy two and do it. And it's like lighting a match. Once you light it, it takes off. I would say overall, Frayser, 7 years ago, that's where all the shootings were, gunfights. It was just gang-infested, drug-infested crap hole. Raleigh taking off the way it did and then getting overbuilt now and overpriced. Now all that money started pouring into Frayser on the east side, and it's just slowly working its way across. And now you can go in any single neighborhood in Frayser and see at least 3 to 4 remodeled homes on every street. And every couple of blocks, a brand new construction home. So much that the city now is putting a bike lane and repaving all the roads and redoing all the curbs and sidewalks and putting bike lanes on them. 7 years ago, I would have been like, you're out of your mind. But it is literally a solid C plus market now. So my buddies and my investors that I've dumped in there in the last couple of years that purchased homes for $60,000, $70,000 and rehabbed them, they're sitting on properties worth $115,000 a day, and they're getting $1,300 a month rent for them. And their whole investment probably was their down payment, which was probably 10, 15 grand out of pocket maybe total, and put 5 grand into it and turn it into a rental property. But a lot of investors will miss that opportunity simply because they get emotional about the neighborhood. They get emotional about, well, I wouldn't want to live there. I've had investors in my truck that did that. So I really don't like this neighborhood. Or you're not living here. You're here to invest, right?
And
you don't like Chick-fil-A, but if Chick-fil-A offered you stock, you'd take it in a heartbeat.
Especially investors that aren't from here, they're probably a little more taken back by the neighborhoods versus a born and raised Memphian,
right.
Yeah, the investor's going to say, I don't want to live here, but for a Memphian, it's probably a normal neighborhood environment, for them.
We talked about that a little bit on last week's podcast because Jeff was talking about how he was a lifelong Memphian, lived here for 50 whatever years.
Yeah, 58.
And, the reality of the city compared to what media portrays nationally is just not a true picture.
Well, something that I may not find terrible.
Yes.
Right, so a gunshot, somebody getting shot, it's going to make the news. And people are going to say, oh, my God, it's the murder capital of the world. No, it's not. I'd walk through 38106 at midnight by myself before I'd step foot anywhere in most of the neighborhoods in Detroit, period. And I used to live there. And trust me, I've watched people pull guns on the highway and shoot at each other while I'm literally behind them. Memphis is not that bad. Grading a neighborhood, I think, is if you set your standard as an investor that I want CC plus or higher, that will get you, at least kind of get you away from the garbage that's going to do nothing but cost you money and you're going to lose money. Now, I've got an investor that was here last weekend, and she about to retire. She has 4 or 5 homes in Frayser, and they're performing well, and she loves them, but she's about to retire, so she's now wanting to step up her game. So now she wants to buy in Cordova, and she's going to spend $190,000 for a house in Cordova and only get $1,800 a month rent. Financially, it doesn't sound like a good investment. But for someone who's about to retire, who wants no headaches, just wants to get a mailbox check every month and have someone take care of the house, have a professional tenant that lives there, that's her next move. She did the C neighborhoods, and she's gotten great returns on it. But now she wants to stabilize her portfolio by having 3 or 4 nice homes in Cordova. They're going to bring in $4, $5, $6 grand a month in rent. That's going to cost her $500,000. But if you do the math on that, that's still better than what she's going to get if she dumps that money in the stock market. I would say that if you come to Memphis, you're going to hear the market's Cordova. Cordova's straight C plus to B, maybe B plus. There's some B plus areas, but you're going to pay for that. If you want a safe, very limited risk investment, that's where you go, but you're going to pay for that. If you want a true investment and a good return on your investment, then you've got to go to the CNC Plus neighborhoods. And if you give us a call at 901-692-7401 or go to our website, mymemphisinvestmentproperties.com, we can actually help guide you to those neighborhoods. And if you call me and say, Brett, I want to buy $30,000 in F neighborhoods, I'll find them for you, as long as you know what an F neighborhood is. I would generally say that 99% of my investors, and I know pretty much all of Glenn's investors, were in CNC Plus neighborhoods. We have a few Japanese guys that bought in Collierville, Germantown, and Cordova. I've got one investor, Mike, only buys B neighborhoods. Michael, he buys a lot of stuff in Cordova. Todd Riccio, same way. He buys a lot of stuff in Cordova. He's got his standards, brick, at least a 3-2 with a 2-car garage in a B neighborhood.
Well, I think an important thing to reiterate that we've said many times, even on that $190,000 that someone might invest in Cordova, the 20% down is all the money you're putting in.
That's correct.
So that's $38,000.
That's right.
Maybe some closing fees.
Yeah, and again,
and that's your investment.
The biggest thing for her is that she's paying cash.
Right.
So if she was doing a mortgage, that's the difficult part, is that her note's going to be $1,400-$1,500. Right. So you're really making nothing. Matter of fact, there could be some months where you're coming out of pocket paying it, but she's not as concerned with that because she's paying cash, number one, and she's using it for retirement cash flow. She self-manages it now. She used to be with our buddy, but she left, and now she self-manages her own properties. When you're young, you can be aggressive, but don't be stupid, right? That's like going out and, buying a crypto comes out tomorrow and it's a penny a piece, and you go out and buy 1 million shares of it because you think you're going to get rich off of it, and then 10 years from now, it's still worth a penny. Don't do that to yourself. If you want to be a good, solid investor, get to a C neighborhood. Memphis is a great market for that. And I would say you can go to C neighborhood anywhere. I heard Cleveland, Ohio is doing fantastic in the rental market. Little Rock is kind of falling off a little bit, but we've all got C neighborhoods that produce good cash flow. So to sum it up, I don't grade a neighborhood by the people that live there. I'm not racist. I don't care what color you are. I do care what country you're from.
I'd noticed that.
Britain, I just don't. I just don't think I can put somebody in a neighborhood where a lot of Brits lived.
Well, Britain is
what a boring
country.
place to live. The food would suck. God, it would stink. That'd suck. Anyway, so I don't grade it based on color of skin or the type of people live there or the people's religion. I base it on the style of the home, type of home, and that's another. You can change your grading simply by the style of the home too. If it's a bunch of wood frame, wooden, and aluminum siding and no brick homes, I will adjust for that, because that also adjusts down your value and your sellability of that property when you get ready to get rid of it. It also affects your leasing and how much you can get in rent. A lot of people don't think about that. A brick home, or typically rent, you can get more rent for a brick home than an aluminum sided home, because people drive up and they like the curb appeal better. It looks better.
Brick homes are just sturdy too.
Yeah, they can all catch fire. They can all blow over, and tornado can rip them all down. But buying brick over siding, you pull up into a home, it's got architectural shingles on it. Costs the same as putting 3-tab shingles. But guess what? Architectural shingles look way better.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Curb appeal is still important to someone who's renting. Just because they're not buying it doesn't mean they don't care about curb appeal.
When you rent, you still want to feel like you're in
Absolutely.
your home, Absolutely.
And I tell a lot of my rehabbers this. Man, add a couple of $1,000s extra in your budget and landscape the front yard. Instead of people pull up and you want market rent for this house, and there's construction crap all over the yard, little pieces of it, not a single flower bed anywhere, a bunch of overgrown bushes. Yeah, the house looks good, but you can't see it.
Yeah, first
put a couple
appearance,
grand into
definitely.
landscaping, and you would be surprised at how many tenants may drive by that house and say, wow, I'd love to live there.
Yeah, that
Curb
first
appeal is
appearance definitely would help out with the house. You really don't know what the inside of the house looks like until you get in, but if you see the front yard and it's landscaped nice and looks well, that would encourage you more to be like, oh, I want to see the inside of the house.
And you know what? The landscaping situation could also change the grade of that street. It really can, because it's not just always about the condition of the house. It has a lot to do with the atmosphere.
Yeah, it just lets you know the thought process.
Visual.
Just the thought process of who owns the home,
Right.
where your mind was when you thought to put this on the market for rent. You don't want to just rent any old thing.
So I'm just trying to encourage people to have an open mind when they go into buying a rental property in Memphis. Do a common sense grade of the neighborhood or the street that you're on. Don't get emotional about it. Don't attach yourself to it, because if you do, you're going to make dumb mistakes. And then don't go the opposite direction either. Don't just say, I'm going to go out in the hood and buy 50 homes for $300,000 and become a millionaire. You're not. You're just not, because everything in that home is going to be gone before you can get it rented, and you're going to lose your shirt. C is probably the least It has more risk than B and A. It has a hell of a lot less risk than D and F. C neighborhoods, you can get the 1% or better. C and C plus 1%, maybe 12, 13, 14% gross RSRI. You can't get that in B and A. Now in D and F, you can get 18% on paper. But I guarantee you, by the time you do your books at the end of the year, you're probably going to be 1.5, if not in the negative, not in the red.
From having to put money back into
constantly.
Yeah.
I can give you a perfect example of that. I had an investor that I fired. I finally got rid of him. I just said, I can't do this anymore. He wanted to buy homes for $35,000. Actually, Glenn gave them to me. It's one of his, here, give him the bread. Well, I just got my license. I was all fired up. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Great. So he goes, well, here, I found these 5 homes. Can you go check them out for me? I'd never even been over there. Sure, I'm going. Drove up. I'm not going to lie. I was a little nervous about driving down the street. And as I drove down the street, everybody was watching me. And as I parked in front of the first home and got out, everybody was walking down that street toward me.
Yeah, they probably knew.
Listen,
he
these
don't
weren't
belong.
just people that were out for a Sunday walk. These were punks. And you could tell. They were up to no good. Cars in the middle of the road, music bumping. They just, they're being kids. So I go in the house, and it's not a bad looking little house. Window units, didn't have central air. Went back and I said, well, it's pretty rough area of town. I'd say it's certainly worth $35,000. What are you going to rent it for? He said, $900 a month. I'm like, okay, cool. Wrote it up, got the deal done. He paid cash. We closed. 2 days later, he says, can you meet my contractor over there? Because I'm going to get him to fix the steps in the back. I don't know, some other stuff he had to do. I said, sure. So I got over there 2 days later. Door kicked in, drywall ripped out, all the copper wiring gone, all the faucets gone, all the light fixtures gone, doorknobs gone, and 2 windows in the back had been removed from the sash, like unscrewed and taken out.
Wow.
It's almost like a rehabber who needed some materials went over there and got what he needed and left. He spent $12,000, $13,000 getting that house back. So now he's at almost $50,000 for that house. He's going to get $900 a month rent for. And this is an absolute true story. So his contractor redid everything, got the house rent ready. EPM put it up for lease. I was the leasing agent still. A couple weeks after all that was done, they found a tenant that wanted to see it. So I went out and met the tenant to see it. And same thing had happened. They destroyed the house. Again. Now, this is all within 30 days, or after rehab, so 60 days. So he then soaked it up, got the house rehabbed again, and said, I've got to get a tenant in here and get in it right away. I don't know if he ever even rented that house. I showed it a bunch of times, but he ended up putting money in that house.
Did he ever board the windows up?
And then he ended up calling me and said, I need you to sell this house. I'm like, what do you want for it? He goes, just get rid of it. He never got a tenant in 6 months, probably. Never had a tenant in it. Was all into this house at $70,000. I think we got rid of it for like $45,000. He lost $30,000 on it. All because he just went in the wrong neighborhood. All because he didn't take the time to research what he was doing. He looked at numbers on paper and says, wow, that is a hell of a return. And he made a huge mistake. Yeah,
one of those too good to be true.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he like did it
based
again.
Off of the number.
He did it 2 more times before I finally just said, look, I'm not doing this anymore. I said, I've told you to get in C neighborhoods. Well, I'm not spending $110,000 on a house. Well, then go keep buying $30,000 houses, but you need to call somebody else because I'm not doing it anymore. I mean, let's face it. I made 3% off of $35,900 for all that. It wasn't worth it. So that's a good example as to why you just need to grade your neighborhoods, understand what you're doing. And if someone like me tells you no, then fire me. Just say, you're not my agent because you're not telling me what I want to hear. Because if I tell you no, I mean no. You're going to lose money. No, these people are not smarter than we are. No, they're not the greatest investors on the planet. But the good investors have good agents that they listen to, right? They confer with. They bounce ideas off of. They take advice from. So just get you a good agent, grade your neighborhoods properly, and you'll do fine. You'll do fine. Don't buy any neighborhoods with British people living in them. That's my only advice to you.
Says you.
Says me.
As you call me at midnight.
I didn't call you at midnight. Not recently.
How can everybody get in touch?
901-692-7401, or you can go to our website, mymemphisinvestmentproperties.com. Actually, we have all of our homes that are listed for sale there. You can go check them out. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you like the show, subscribe. We'd love to add you to our list. And you can go on the website. Our email addresses are there. You can send me emails with topic ideas if you've got a specific question. Or if you just want to talk about maybe getting started investing, shoot us an email over. We'd love to talk to you.
For more common sense real estate tips, listen and subscribe at 5o'clocksomewherepodcast.com. The 5 O'Clock Somewhere Real Estate Investor Podcast is a Sound Ideas Group production.